Do you need police, fire, or medical?
Medical. I think I killed my mommy.
Anyway,
Do you know who the person is?
No, I don't know who he is. I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. He's obviously covered in wounds. We need the cops here as soon as possible.
911 calls usually start a criminal case, and they can sometimes be some of the most important pieces of evidence. From an apparent confession to murder, to a mother finding her own son's body part, to a call that may have saved the life of a famous politician's husband, we're taking a look at some of the more revealing 911 phone calls in recent history. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. If you're ever in any kind of trouble, you call 911 for help, right? Dispatchers will be on the other end of the line. They're going to be ready to send out police or firefighters or emergency medical aid. But a little trivia for you, you might not know this. It actually might surprise you. 911 hasn't been around as long as you might think. The first call to 911 was made in February of 1968. Now, before that, you had to call local numbers, all 7 digits, to reach emergency services. Thank goodness that's changed. But in fact, in the last several years, departments have upgraded their 911 systems to include options like texting instead of calling. But today, those 911 phone calls are still important. They still save lives. And even separately from that, 911 phone calls can be used in court in actual cases. They can be used to lay out a timeline. They can be used to provide details on a situation. They can even be used to incriminate a suspect. And so what we want to do is take a look at some of the more revealing 911 phone calls in recent memory. Now, sometimes a suspected criminal will call the police on themselves. That's right, admitting their crime over the phone to the emergency operator. That is what seemed to happen in the case of Hen Bustami, a Las Vegas woman who called 911, and I guarantee you, this is not a call that dispatchers receive often.
Do you need police, fire, or medical?
Medical. I think I killed my mommy.
Yeah, you heard that right. The then 28-year-old called 911 in October 2022 at around 2:30 in the morning, saying she killed her mother in the home that they shared together.
Why do you think you killed your mom?
Because I did. I murdered her.
Now, this call is at times quite graphic as the operator presses Bustami to learn more.
How did you do that?
I broke the table on her head and I broke it.
How did you kill her? You said something about a table?
I broke the table on her head.
You dropped the table on her head?
I broke the table on her head and I cut her neck off.
And you cut what?
Her neck off.
Yeah, she said, I broke the table on her head and cut her neck off. And when first responders arrive at the home, they find the body of her mother, 61-year-old Afaf Hussanin. She sustained multiple lacerations. Police believe Bustami killed her mother with shards of glass from a broken coffee table. And in fact, this is not the first time police had been called out to the home. No, there were reportedly calls about everything from family disturbances to a suicide attempt. Investigators said that officers with the Barstow Police Department and the California Highway Patrol located and detained Bustami in California shortly after finding her mother's body. And when they stopped Bustami, she was reportedly covered in blood and again admitted to killing her mother. She allegedly told a detective that she and her mother had gotten into a fight over cigarettes, of all things. Now, you might be looking at this case and saying, why does she seem familiar? Well, as Law&Crime had previously reported, Hen Bustami was arrested in the Harry Reid International Airport on a previous occasion, and she was charged with violating airport conduct. Apparently, she didn't pay for a meal at a restaurant, then slept near the security checkpoint, and when she was dealing with officers, she got belligerent. She said that she was only being harassed because the police had never seen someone so pretty. Can't say I've heard that defense before. Well, a Nevada grand jury indicted Bustami for the murder of her mother in March of 2023, and prosecutors said that they would not seek the death penalty when the case goes to trial, a trial where I imagine this 911 phone call will play a crucial role. Well, one of the wildest cases that we have ever covered here at Law&Crime is that of Taylor Schabusiness. She is the 25-year-old Wisconsin woman who strangled to death her former boyfriend 25-year-old Shad Therion during a sexual encounter at his mother's home, and then sexually abused his body and chopped the body up. Yeah, let me tell you right now how disturbing this is, okay? And in my opinion, how cold her actions were. She left his remains all over the house and in a car. Now, according to Shabusiness, the two had been doing meth. They started to fool around. That led to Shabusiness putting a dog collar around his neck and starting to choke him. But she says once she started squeezing his throat, she just couldn't stop because she wanted to see what would happen. During an interrogation, Shabusiness agrees with the detective that she, quote, effed up. By the way, this is the same woman who attacked her attorney in open court after her trial date was delayed. So just give you an idea of who we're dealing with. But let's go to the 911 phone call, because in this case, it is particularly haunting. It is Therion's mother, Tara Pakanish, who calls 911, and she has to be the one to relay to them that she found her son's head.
Are you positive my son's head is in a bucket, a yellow bucket in my basement?
What makes you think that?
Because I looked in the bucket.
And what did you see?
Exactly what I told you.
Okay, where's the rest of the body at?
No idea.
And you kind of came upon the bucket, happenstance kind of, right?
Right,
So then you took the towel off,
I did.
and how long did you look in the bucket?
See, that
Seconds?
I don't know. Seconds, probably.
Okay, did you put the towel back then?
And I put the towel back, yes.
Just how awful is that when you hear that? And then we hear from Miss Pakanish's boyfriend.
Tara had woken me up and said she thinks she found Chad, her son's, that's how she put it. I found my son's head in a bucket. So I'm dumbfounded. Didn't believe her. Thought she was having a mental issue or something. I go downstairs and see what the hell she's talking about, and I can't see anything, so we go back upstairs and contemplate what the heck to do.
I guess what do you do specifically when you go downstairs?
I went to the basement and observed a bucket that she said, but I don't know, my mind blocked it out. About all I seen was like hair, like an animal, or I didn't know what the heck.
Horrifying. It's just horrifying. And Shabusiness even admitted this to police, showing that the 911 phone call wasn't an exaggeration.
What did you do with the head?
The head I put it in that bucket, that black bucket.
Black bucket?
With the blanket on top.
Okay.
I should kill it.
And then where'd you leave it?
Leave the head? The head's still in the bucket. It's right by the stairs.
Honestly, it's just hard to comprehend sometimes people what they do. Well, that 911 phone call was played for the jury at her trial on top of her interrogation and all the other evidence. And you guessed it, she was convicted of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and sexual abuse. Also, she was found to be sane at the time she committed this crime, so that insanity plea didn't really work out for her. And at the time of this recording, she has not yet been sentenced, but she is facing the possibility of life in prison. All right, we go now to San Francisco, where a sometimes cryptic 911 phone call may have saved the life of a congresswoman's husband. Paul Pelosi, the husband of then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, was home alone on October 28th, 2022, when shortly after 2 a.m., a man is seen on surveillance footage breaking in. He allegedly demanded to speak with Pelosi's wife, but she was out of town. Now, at one point, Paul Pelosi was able to call the police.
This is San Francisco Police. Do you need help?
Oh, well, there's a gentleman here just waiting for my wife to come back. Nancy Pelosi. He's just waiting for her to come back. She's not going to be here for a day, so I guess we'll have to wait.
So you can hear just how careful Pelosi is trying to speak about his situation without alerting the intruder. And we've come to learn and find out that that intruder is David DePape. And here's the other startling aspect of this. DePape was holding a hammer, According to Pelosi, DePape kept repeating, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" But again, Nancy Pelosi was in Washington, D.C. This phone call, this 911 phone call, continues.
Anyway, he told me to put the phone down.
Do you know who the person is?
No, I don't know who he is. He has this. He's telling me not to. He's telling me not to do anything. Anyway, this gentleman says that he thinks everything ought to, he's telling me to put the phone down and just do what he says. Okay?
It took the dispatcher a moment to catch on with what Pelosi was hinting at, and all of this as Pelosi tried to keep DePape calm.
Okay, what's the gentleman's name?
I don't know. What's that?
My name's David.
The name is David.
Okay, and who is David?
I don't know. What's that?
I'm a friend of theirs.
Yeah, he says he's a friend, but as I said, I've never.
But you don't know who he is?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
He's telling me I'm being very leading, so I got to stop talking to you, okay? When this all came out, Law&Crime spoke with trial attorney Catherine Lizardo, and she believes that Pelosi may have been trying to tip off the dispatcher without any retaliation from the suspect.
Mr. Pelosi was speaking almost in code instead of saying, help, 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 there's an intruder here who has a hammer and might attack me. Maybe he sensed that already and just wanted to calm things down.
So the dispatcher sends officers to Pelosi's for a wellness check. And when Pelosi opened the door, police body camera video shows Pelosi and DePape standing in the doorway, and you can see Pelosi struggling with DePape to get hold of that hammer. When police tell DePape to put the hammer down, he appears to say nope, and then is seen swinging it at Pelosi, hitting him in the head. Police tackle him, send him to the ground. Pelosi underwent surgery to treat a skull fracture as well as injuries to his hands and one arm. Thankfully, he was okay. He was released from the hospital. Police ended up logging several concerning items at the crime scene, like zip ties, duct tape, a second hammer, and gloves. DePape told police that he planned to hold Pelosi hostage, maybe even break her kneecaps because he saw her as, quote, the leader of the pack of lies told by the Democratic Party. Turns out DePape is a Canadian citizen and was in the U.S. illegally, having overstayed his visa. Officials have charged DePape with both federal and state crimes, including attempted kidnapping and attempted murder. It is believed that Pelosi's call to 911 likely saved his life. Well, we've got another example now of suspects calling 911 on themselves, and that's what happened in Lancaster County, Nebraska. The sheriff's office posted a video on its Facebook page showing footage from an incident back in March.
911, where's your emergency?
I'm on Highway 77 going north, and there is somebody that is on the wrong side of the road.
And then did you see what color or type of vehicle it was?
No, he had his brights on, man. He almost ran me off the road. I am on the east lane. He was on the west lane.
Okay. Could you tell if it was a car, truck, or SUV or anything?
It looked like a truck.
Okay.
But dude, he almost hit me, so I was like, holy shit.
But actually, it was the caller who was on the wrong side of the road. Yeah. Now, thankfully, a deputy was able to stop him before he hit anyone.
Yeah, do you know why I stopped you?
Yeah, because I was on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah. Is there a reason for that?
No, but I must have missed an exit.
Missed an exit?
And that's when the deputy realized that they had heard from this guy already that night.
Were you the one that called in?
Yep.
You were?
Yeah, because I thought somebody was on the wrong side of the road, bro.
But it turned out it was you.
Yep, look at dumb.
The sheriff's department didn't identify the man, but they did post the video to warn against drunk driving. All right, let's continue our conversation on some of the most revealing 911 phone calls. We're going to continue with a major case that we're following right now, an incredibly disturbing one, and it has an incredibly disturbing 911 phone call. I'm talking about the case of Ruby Franke. This is the 41-year-old wife and mother of 6 whose claim to fame was now a defunct YouTube channel called 8 Passengers, documenting the life of their family out in Utah. It also stirred up controversy because of her parenting techniques, which critics said was absolutely cruel. Well, you fast forward to 2023, and she and her business partner, Jody Hildebrand, who had filmed videos together, They have each been charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse with respect to 2 of Frankie's young children. You see, police were alerted after Frankie's 12-year-old son escaped Hildebrandt's residence and ran to a neighbor asking for food and water. He was found emaciated with deep lacerations and duct tape on his extremities. When police arrived, they also found Frankie's 10-year-old daughter in similar condition, and that is when Frankie and Hildebrandt were taken into custody. But I want to focus on the 911 phone call that was placed by that neighbor of Hildebrandt. You want to talk about a powerful 911 phone call that reveals a lot and will prove pivotal at an upcoming criminal trial? Here you go.
911, the address of your emergency. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. We know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated. He's got tape around his legs. He's hungry and he's thirsty. And he asked us to call the police.
What's
So
his
he's
name?
very afraid. This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. We need the cops here as soon as possible.
It's amazing that he talks about knowing that there were problems at Hildebrandt's house. It makes you wonder what kind of witness he would play at their upcoming trial or trials if the cases get severed. But you have this real-time recounting of what's going on with that child, and you can hear him getting emotional. By the way, thank goodness he was there to receive this young boy. While Frankie and Hildebrandt, they face, as I said, 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, and each count carries up to 15 years in prison. Over now to the case of former police officer Amber Geiger out in Dallas, Texas. So back on September 6, 2018, Geiger had just finished her more than 13-hour shift when she went back to her apartment complex. Now, keep in mind, she was still wearing her uniform. She was off duty. And at around 10 p.m., she walks into what she believes was her apartment, only she actually walked into the apartment of a neighbor, 26-year-old Botham Jean. When she sees him, thinking that he was an intruder, and she sees him approaching her, she takes out her weapon and shoots him in the chest, killing him. Jean was literally eating ice cream, watching TV. So was he a threat? And on the flip side, did he know who was coming into his apartment? So Amber Geiger was charged with his murder, and she went on trial in 2019. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, one of the most pivotal pieces of evidence and most difficult to hear was her 911 phone call right after she shot him, because it tells us a lot.
Get up, man. Dallas 911, this is Carla. Where's your emergency?
Hi, this is off-duty officer. I need EMS. I'm in number.
What's going on?
I'm an off-duty officer. I thought it was in my apartment, and I shot a guy thinking it was my apartment.
You shot someone?
Yes, I thought it was my apartment. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Okay, and where are you at right now?
I'm inside the apartment with him. Hey, come on.
What's your name?
I'm Amber Geiger. I need to get me. I'm in.
Okay, we have help on the way.
I know, but I'm gonna lose my job. I thought it was my apartment. I need a supervisor. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Come on. I thought it was my apartment. I could have sworn I parked on the 3rd floor.
Okay, I understand.
I thought it was my apartment.
Okay, and what floor are you in right now?
The 4th floor. Hey, bud. They're coming, bud. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, where was he shot?
He's on the top left. Oh my God, I'm done. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Stay with me, bud. I'm tired. Hurry. Over here.
Okay, go ahead and talk to him.
No, it's me. I'm off duty. I thought they were in my apartment. I thought this was my floor.
Now, on the one hand, her story has always been consistent. She admits that she shot him. She always said, including on this first call, that she really did believe she entered her own apartment. And you can hear how panicked she was. And she said, I'm so tired, which the defense used to their advantage to suggest, how can you blame her? After a 13-and-a-half-hour shift, she's exhausted. She made a mistake. But the language that she uses, where she seems more concerned about her own well-being, like, I'm going to lose my job. Now, I know this is a traumatic experience, but those comments may not have sat well with many people because that's the first thing you say. In the end, the jury convicted Amber Geiger of murder, believing she did not act reasonably under the circumstances and intended to kill him. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison and is up for parole in 2024. All right, let's wrap things up in Miami, Florida, where OnlyFans model Courtney Clenny stands accused of stabbing to death her live-in boyfriend, 28-year-old Christian Obumseli, back in April of 2022 in their apartment. Prosecutors claim 27-year-old Clenny, who is facing a second-degree murder charge, killed Obumseli in a domestic violence incident. Now, this is seemingly supported by surface surveillance footage from the elevator in their apartment complex showing an incident over a month before the killing, where you can see Clenny hitting Obumseli repeatedly. Now, it seems that Clenny's attorneys are arguing that she acted in self-defense during this shooting, that she was the victim of domestic abuse in the relationship. It's certainly going to be an interesting trial to watch for many different reasons. But I will tell you, the 911 phone call from Clenny right after the stabbing, I imagine this will play heavily in this case. Let's listen.
Ma'am,
my boyfriend is dying of a stab.
ma'am, what is the address?
What's that? What's the address, baby? 3131 Northeast 7th Ave. Please, God, please, come see my boyfriend.
Ma'am, is this a house apartment or a business?
127453582.
Is this a house apartment or a business?
Baby, I'm so sorry. Baby.
So her seemingly saying, I'm sorry, could possibly be interpreted by a jury as her admitting she was at fault and regretting her decision. By the way, it seems to me that this also shows why prosecutors went with second-degree murder and not first-degree murder for her. Second-degree murder in Florida is defined as, quote, the unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated by any act imminently dangerous to another and evincing a depraved mind regardless of human life, although without any premeditated design to affect the death of any particular individual. So it doesn't seem like she planned to kill him or this was premeditated in any way, but it happened from her engaging in an extremely dangerous act, namely using the knife. Now, let's play some more of this 911 phone call where she talks about the wound.
If he has a stab wound to his shoulder, can you sit down?
What do you mean he has a stab wound on his shoulder, ma'am?
Yes, he's bleeding from his shoulder. Listen, please, God, please sit up. Please, God, please sit up.
Listen, ma'am. Listen, I'm sending help. I need you to tell me exactly what happened.
It's interesting that she says that because Clenny says that she stabbed him in the shoulder, and Clenny tells authorities right after this that she threw the knife at him about 10 feet away, but claimed she was acting in self-defense. Well, the autopsy showed that he suffered a wound to the chest from the knife, close range, so no way this could have been her throwing the knife, or at least that's what prosecutors suggest. So what actually did she do? Was she covering her tracks with these statements? Something to think about, something for the jury to think about. And then finally, in the 911 phone call, you actually hear Obumseli. And I warn you, it is not easy to hear.
Operator Dodge, what is the address of your emergency? City, ma'am, please.
3101. It's 130, so 130.
Ma'am, listen to me. You need to stop screaming on the line and give me the address.
3101.
You're gonna die. I can't see my arm.
Sending help. How old is he? Ma'am, how old is he? Is he awake?
Yeah, you hear him say that he can't feel his arm, that he's going to die. And then the phone goes silent because he presumably loses consciousness, and we know that he later dies. It's just really, really sad to think about here. I said these cases begin with a 911 phone call that can reveal a lot, and certainly that is the case here. We plan to cover her trial on Law and Crime and Sidebar. That's all we have for you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sidebar. We really do appreciate it. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.